And what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. Playoff baseball is here, almost, for the Yankees. The calm before the storm as we watch what happens in the rest of the league. What's up, Scott?
What's up, man? Glad we got, first of all, the playoff bracket coming down to the doubleheader today with the Mets and the Atlanta Braves after making that decision to postpone when they played last time. It's just really interesting. And the fact that the Diamondbacks have to sit there and wait and watch.
But something that kind of takes the edge off that doubleheader is both the Mets and the Braves make it if they just split. So it's kind of like, is
there a gentleman's agreement ahead of time? Yeah.
I feel like there is.
There's some sort. I mean, they're definitely, whoever wins the first game is going to, take it easy on that second game. There's no doubt, because it doesn't really matter for them.
And both teams would theoretically have to play the next day. So
yes, exactly. And they want to save pitching. So I don't know. It's it could be one of those situations where, like, I don't know, division opponent. He says they're taking off, but are they?
Yeah.
Do we really? Do we need to rely on the fact that team is not going to try as hard? I don't know. Baseball's funky.
Yeah, I guess maybe we can tell if the first game one team wins 10-0, and the second game the other team wins 10-0. It's like, oh, okay, I see what happened here.
Yeah, conspiracy against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Like, come on, let's just
defending National League champs.
I know. Yeah, they're a dangerous team. They don't want them in there, but. Yeah. So anyway, the Yankees got the home field, which is great. They didn't really do much for it, but
earned that home field. They did the bare minimum.
I mean, at least they would have gotten it, right? We know that they would have gotten it, which is
because they won on Sunday. Yeah,
because they won on Sunday. So I think that's what I'm taking away from that they did it, and of course Alex Verdugo, coming through with a massive hit and clutch situation.
And who saved the game?
I mean, Verdugo might have, but
no, Holmes saved the game. So
saved the game. Yeah.
Last game of the season, Verdugo comes up with the clutch hit in late innings, which was just a bleeder through the infield. I know the K call was like, hit hard through the right. No, dude, that is a fisted soft line drive ground ball into right field. Classic Verdugo, who set the record, I think, for most ground balls to the right side this year. And then Clay Holmes does get the save. So if the Yankees coaching staffs are looking for positives going into the playoffs, like, oh, hey, Verdugo, big hit.
Verdugo.
Holmes, clutch save here. Got his mojo back.
Two guys in high leverage situations just coming through for a game that means literally nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That could have meant something if Cleveland had won, but absolutely meant nothing. Absolutely nothing.
If the Yankees still were going for home field advantage yesterday, so had Cleveland won on Saturday, do you think you get the lineup you got yesterday? Because Soto, everyone was out, and Judge also sat on Friday too, which I didn't understand.
They're just trying to get him more rest, period.
And then he struck out 5 times on Saturday.
I said this last episode. I don't think they were going to make many business decisions to actually get home field advantage that they wouldn't have made if it wasn't on the line. So, maybe there's a couple extra guys that are playing, but I think for the most part you're getting a B lineup.
I just don't understand. You've got 5 days off this week. Why are you not getting guys a couple more live at bats?
Well, I don't know. Maybe because, they get hit on the hands. That's and then true. They can't play. So, let's just take these guys out of the line of fire at this point and just
counterpoint. Okay.
Yeah. Just be able to play the games at this point.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Rizzo fractured his fingers, in the fourth inning. His fourth and fifth fingers in his right hand on Saturday's loss to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's obviously unfortunate for Rizzo, who's, call it 2 lost years. These last 2 years with the Yankees, it's a quote long shot for him to play in the ALDS. It's a pain tolerance thing. I think you made this point. He couldn't even put his glove on. So how's he going to play on Saturday?
Yeah. You say a pain tolerance thing, okay, but at that point, you're really. I feel like that's unfair to say, because it's just like putting it on him, saying like if he could play through the pain. It's more about the fact that yes, there's pain, but also can he do the same things that he would normally do with those fingers in the way that they are? Like, yeah, he could tolerate the pain, but that doesn't mean he has the same bat speed. Doesn't mean he's making the same contact. The mechanics are probably going to be off. So I think that's an unfair way to position this towards Rizzo playing, whether it's a pain tolerance thing. Like, the guy has 2 broken fingers on his hand, for God's sakes. Like, it's not good. Yeah, he couldn't even get his hand in the glove. That's how how much it hurts. And I'm sure what happens, I know they're going to get treatment and all these things, but this, like anybody knows this from when you get, whether it's broken or not broken or just something banged really hard, like it gets so stiff. It gets insanely stiff, and then your flexibility in your hand becomes an issue. They have a week, but we'll see. I mean, he's going to ramp up on Thursday, I think, is what they had talked about. So,
you agree it's a bigger loss defensively than offensively?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the numbers say that, but
okay, but in theory, on his right hand, that's his glove hand, he should be able to field better than he can hit.
I mean, maybe he couldn't even get his hand in the glove.
Yeah, but
how is he going to be able to squeeze it? Is he going to be able to get the same the same mobility of flexing the glove from the ground up to scoop those balls? I don't know.
I don't think he's playing, but I'm just saying the loss is defensively, not offensively, because offensively Rizzo has been nothing for the Yankees.
Oh, I still think it's a big tick down offensively as well, because you got a guy who has playoff experience, has been there before, has played well in the playoffs, and you kind of throw everything out in the regular season. At that point, it's pressure
with
situation.
Rizzo, I don't throw everything out because he has been so bad for 2 years.
But when we're talking about the other person, you got to put Ben Rice's numbers in there now too, and his numbers are not good either.
No, I'm not saying it's an upgrade offensively. I'm saying you were kind of at a 0 offensively anyway, and so now you're going to be still at a 0 offensively. But now, instead of being a positive defensive first baseman, you're probably a negative defensive first baseman, no matter who you're putting over there. Ben Rice, if DJ LeMahieu can come back, I know there was also, he was quoted as saying, like, I'm going to try and be ready. I don't know if they're going to need me, but I'm going to be ready. DJ, we know what he's been lack of offensively this year, but he also wasn't that great defensively.
No, he wasn't.
So
at first.
You would kind of be losing defense with him at first base. And then if it's going to be Oswaldo Cabrera or somebody else, I think I saw Trent Grisham was working out at first base.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, why not?
Okay. What are we doing here? So no matter who you put at first base defensively, other than Rizzo, you're going to be losing defensively. I think offensively, it was a black hole no matter who's playing there.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. And if Cabrera is there, that's the other potential option. If Cabrera is there, if they believe he's good enough on the defensive side where he can man that position in the playoffs,
he might be your best option.
You get a little bit of an upgrade on the offense from what we've seen. Here's the problem too, though. Like defensively, we're talking about fielding a ball that's hit off the bat. That's one thing, but that's not even not even remotely close to the biggest
balls
thing.
from infielders. Yes,
Jazz Chisholm is a new third baseman over there who has been saved multiple times by Rizzo. You got Glaber doing who knows what,
doing Glaber things,
doing Glaber things. Volpe with his ability to get to different balls, just like trying to get a ball in that direction. Like, he has the trust of Rizzo on that point. So he knows he can just, even balls that most guys wouldn't get to, like he can get to them and then just throw a dart over there. And, it may bounce 30 times, but Rizzo can scoop it. So yeah, you're looking at a downgrade for sure. But that's across the whole infield, which is, that's a concern. It
Logan,
downgrades the entire infield.
You were going to say something?
Yeah, just to kind of go off of Scott's point about a tick up offensively, Oswaldo has been really good since July. So that's a big sample size, 114 plate appearances. He's a 275 hitter with a 732 OPS. As you make that sample size even smaller, closer to today, I mean, the numbers just get better and better. In the last month, he's I think even higher than that.
No, I think he's unironically your best option at first base.
Yeah.
Which is
I just don't know what he
crazy.
is defensively. Because he hasn't really had much opportunity over there.
But Ben Rice didn't look good defensively. And when we saw him this summer, he was not good defensively.
I don't disagree, but my point is that I don't know. I don't know what he is over there. I don't know if he's egregiously bad or if because he just hasn't had that much opportunity to show what he can do to make everybody else better or not. I think he can field the ball. I think that's not a problem. It's more about what he can do as a vacuum really for the rest of the infield.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's just an unknown. That's all.
That's an unknown, but I don't think it's good with anyone else other than Rizzo there. So that's my point.
Do you think that because this situation is what it is, Ben Rice has the most games at first base? I mean, take LeMahieu out of this for now. Boone goes with Rice, right? Just because of the level of experience there. I think that's what he defaults to.
I think it also depends
because
on,
he loses a guy off the bench that he could need.
I was going to say that I think it also depends on what they do with the rest of the roster. Obviously, left field is still up in the air. What's going to happen there with the off days in the ALDS? You can go an extra position player because you don't need as many pitchers. So they could carry Rice, Cabrera, and 2 backup outfielders in the ALDS. So that's also a possibility.
Well, you also now need to think about the shortstop position. Because you're sliding guys over to first base, and if they're needed at first,
well, Rice is definitely going to be on the roster. I'm just saying, or are you saying who's going to? I assumed you were saying who's starting.
I was saying that, but when you're talking about who's starting, you also have to look around to now say, okay, if Cabrera is starting, let's say he is, and there something happens to Volpe or whatever, like who's playing short at that point?
Well, then Cabrera shifts over, and
is John Brady on the roster? Do you have a guy like that who has more flexibility to go around the diamond and play different positions? Because you need to be flexible with what they have. You need to be flexible.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, the flexibility in the infield is not good.
So I think the Rizzo injury actually is a sneaky shot now of John Brady getting a potential roster spot.
Yeah. The crazy stat that Ilya dropped in our chat, that the Yankees' last home run from a first baseman was July 31st, the DJ Grand Slam in Philly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
2 full
I thought
months.
Rizzo had one, but yeah, obviously not.
No, since Rizzo returned, 247 batting average, 345 on base, 660 OPS, 0 home runs, 5 doubles, 7 RBIs, 8 walks, 17 strikeouts. Like, I know there was some flashes of the at-bats looking good.
Yeah.
But the production wasn't there. The power has not been. The Yankees don't have a home run from first base, which is one of the biggest power positions on the diamond, in 2 months.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. So you're looking at defense.
Yes, that's why defense. That's why I'm saying
that's the only thing.
Realistically, Rizzo was going to hit 7th or 8th in the batting order. Okay. Defense is where it's an actual loss for this team in the playoffs.
But I'm saying, like, when you're looking to fill that position, or you're looking at putting the best defender out there and not worrying as much about offense, because the offense has worked without any production coming from that first base spot, essentially. So at this point, you need to play run prevention and allow your other guys to hit. And but again, like, there's no clear option for that either. That's the thing.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Okay, the baseball playoffs are here. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, meaning buying tickets to a playoff game on Game Time is now faster and easier than ever. The Game Time app has so many great features. I love the flash deals, so you can see what sections the best deals are in. You press that all-in pricing, so you're not hit with surprise fees at checkout. And the seat view, you get real pictures from inside the venue, so you know what you are getting before you buy. The app is streamlined, is very easy to use, just a few taps to find your tickets, and then your tickets are purchased. The app allows for easy sharing as well if you're going with friends and family. Game Time has great tickets for concerts, comedy shows, theater, and much more, and the Game Time guarantee means you're always going to get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less money, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code BRONX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We are also brought to you by Navage Nasal Care. Breathing is the most essential act for our bodies. It's why congestion, sinuses, allergies, and colds can all take a big toll on our well-being. Even though that's all true, nasal hygiene isn't often part of your everyday routine, but it should be. Navage believes every breath you take should feel effortless. It uses smooth saline flow and gentle patented saline suction to clear nasal passages, and when you use it, it can work in as fast as 30 seconds. Plus, it is drug-free and uses 99.9% pure saline salt pods with no medicinal side effects. There are other benefits you might not be aware of as well, like better sleep, less snoring, reduced headaches, and you can save some money on tissues. Since I started using Navage regularly, I noticed that my head just feels clearer. I probably use it twice a week at this point, but if there's, we get emails all the time from daycare like, oh, this virus is now going around, then I might bump up how often I'm using Navage just to make sure my breathing is easy. I love my Navage nasal kit, and I know you will too. Start breathing easier today. Order the Navage starter pack. It comes with everything you need to get started. Plus, our listeners get a free cleaning kit as a gift, but only when you order through our URL, navage.com/Bronx, and use promo code Bronx. Navage.com/Bronx is spelled Navage. It's promo code Bronx at navage.com/Bronx. All right, so I want to talk about a few takeaways from the Pittsburgh series in addition to the Rizzo injury, which is obviously we just talked about. So Trent Grisham had a good day on Sunday as well after, when's the last time he played? I don't know. If you told me 6 weeks ago, I'd believe it. Do you think he's a candidate for not just the playoff roster, but left field?
For left field? Like starting left field?
Yeah.
No, I don't think he's a candidate for starting left field. I think his flexibility, again, similar to Cabrera, is something that they want off the bench. But when you look back at the season, which is kind of what we're doing at this point, and you see the struggles from Verdugo as long as it's humanly possible, you kind of scratch your head and be like, well, maybe Grisham could have gotten more starts in left field and seen what he could have done. It couldn't have been worse. Probably would have been just as good, if not better, defensively. Well, it would have made sense to then position the other outfielders in their strongest position, because Grisham is playing more like an everyday guy because Verdugo's been struggling. I think that it's nice that he has a good day. I think he made some tremendous plays in the field. Like when I see a center fielder take his eye off the ball and just haul ass to the spot, like it makes my heart sing. I love that. And when he does it, it looks like my mother's uncle playing softball doing it it's like he does it without a care in the world, almost like he's not moving very fast. But in fact, the mustache isn't helping matters either, but he gets in the position and he does the job. So yeah, I think it's warranted, but it's not going to happen.
I know it's not going to happen, but that's my point though. I don't know, at least Trent Grisham, if you had gotten him some reps in left field, so you're confident he can make the plays you need to make in left field. And I just feel like whenever he's in there, he goes 1 for 4 with a home run, which isn't the best thing in the world, but it's something. I feel like he's done that a good amount this year.
Yeah, but we can't at this point sit here and say that that's going to be a real option, because it's just not going to be.
No,
it's just not going. Boone doesn't have the balls, first of all, to do something like that. Second of all, you could look at the justification on the number side and actually make a case, like a pretty relatively compelling case to play him and to sit the other guys if you're just looking at numbers. But I think his value, because of his defense and especially late in game, you need him on the bench. He can also run, so you need him. I think you need him on the bench.
Trent Grisham has a 675 OPS in 209 plate appearances. He has 9 home runs in those 209 plate appearances. Alex Verdugo has a 647 OPS in 621 plate appearances, and he has 13 home runs in those 621 plate appearances.
Yeah.
So if you just play the ratio game, Trent Grisham's going to have 25, 30 home runs if he had 620 plate appearances like Verdugo got.
Who knows what kind of a player he is if he, I guess you could go back to San Diego number, because he played a lot more consistently there. But yeah, it's hard to argue against anything, because Verdugo was literally the worst player in baseball for a long time. So there's no argument that you can make that is going to go against Verdugo playing left field that won't make sense, because it will. You can put anybody out there, and make that case.
We talked about this so much last episode, but I really think at this point it's going to be, if Verdugo has a good matchup, he'll get the start. If not, it'll be Dominguez, and then middle of the game, if it's close, you're pulling him for defense.
Yeah, I don't know about middle of the game, but yeah, towards the end of the game.
He got pulled in the 6th inning last week against Baltimore for defense.
How many at-bats did he get? Was that after like a third at-bat?
No, it was 2 at-bats, because then Verdugo got 2 plate appearances too.
Yeah, it might come down to that, unless he's hitting. But if he goes 2 for 2, you're going to keep him out there. I mean, again, it all boils down to Dominguez hitting at the end of the day.
Which he also is not. Like, we have to acknowledge, he has not
100%. He's not hitting. He's not making this easy. He could make this very easy. He could have made this much easier and just said, I'm going to come up here and hit. Doesn't even have to hit great. Just hit a little bit.
And
catch a fly ball.
That's
the minimum.
The minimum. if he just caught those routine fly balls, no one would even be saying anything about Alex Verdugo.
Oh, definitely. Well, they would be because of the bat being non-existent. But yeah, all he had to do was bare minimum, and he had an opportunity to just lock it in without really any controversy at that point. But now there's going to be decision making and second guessing and all of the above.
So over the weekend, we also saw Rodon, Gil, and Schmidt all make their final starts of the season. Rodon, I thought, looked really good until the 6th inning, and then he gave up the 2 home runs. And I just feel like with him, there's always an inning where he loses it. Even when he's pitching well, I feel like he always gives up some solo home runs. It's like 5th or 6th inning, he'll lose it for a second, and that's what happened there. Pittsburgh ended up tying that game in the 6th inning with those 2 home runs. Obviously, we've seen him this season just completely lose focus and give up 7 runs in the 1st inning to Toronto and Tampa, or allow 5 stolen bases to, I forget what team he allowed all those stolen bases to. But with him, I feel like the big thing is solo home runs, which I guess they always say solo home runs don't beat you. In this case, it did.
Well, it tied you in this case, but yeah, you're right. You want to see him finish strong, because in the playoffs, if he's going into the 6th inning and they're up 2-0, and then he gives up 2 solo home runs, like, you washed out your entire start. So yeah, you want to see him being a little bit more careful, especially later in his starts. He knows that he's going into the 6th inning and nothing beyond that, right? So I'm not even trying to be as aggressive without runners on. So I think his aggressiveness with no runners on should be questioned towards the end of his starts, because he knows he's not going to. You don't need to be efficient at that point. You need to just get through the inning unscathed. So if there's nobody on and you're trying to be more aggressive with those batters in the 6th inning, like I think there's a little bit of a philosophy change for him, or at least there should be, being more careful with those guys and not acting as aggressive later in his outings, because pitch count doesn't matter for him at that point. It doesn't. Like, he's not going to go any further in the game. And a lot of times when you see the reason why you see guys attack batters without runners on is they're trying to be efficient. They're trying to get the ball put in play so that they can get out and get into the dugout. But again, like, for him, it doesn't matter as much in that 5th and in that 6th inning. So it just ruins the line for him, which is not good.
Other than Cole, are they pushing any of their starters past 6?
I don't think so.
Even with this bullpen?
I think you get to any signs of trouble in that area, you're gonna be.
Yeah, but there was literally no sign
cautious.
Of trouble. That's the tricky thing with Rodon.
Well, you can't do. Yeah, when there's solo shots like that, you can't.
There's no sign of trouble, and then all of a sudden it's a tie game 2 batters later.
Right. There's nothing you can do as a manager. There's nothing you could do. I would never say that Boone should have pulled him and anticipated that he's going to give up a second home run after the first solo shot.
But that's my point. Like, what if it's the 6th inning and the Yankees have a 2-0 lead in the playoffs, and Rodon's out there at 84 pitches, and you're like, okay, great, this is his last inning. But then 6 minutes later, it's a 2-2 game.
Again, I think it goes back to how he's approaching those batters without 2 outs, without anybody on base. And I think that's where he needs to make an adjustment. And he hasn't really done it all that well, but he needs to make an adjustment and pitch more carefully to those guys, not be as aggressive. And that's the thing, like, power pitchers like him want to be aggressive without anybody on base because they can get the strikeout, and that's what they're going for. But obviously later in his starts, he's more susceptible to the home run ball, and he's got the ability to get through those innings. He needs to be a little more careful. Like, runners on base for him aren't as big of a deal because we've seen him get in and out of trouble.
And then Gil over the weekend on Saturday, he got rocked. He gave up 4 home runs in 5 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs. I was following this game on my phone, so I was listening, but then I went back and watched the home runs. Every single one of these, he missed his location. It was not. It was like glove set up on the inside corner, ball leaks over the middle of the plate. And then I think the last home run he gave up was a 91-mile-an-hour changeup, middle.
The problem with Luis Gil is that it's not just the walks. Just like you said, this was Clark Schmidt's issue last year. He has since really just improved tremendously on this problem. He was missing the glove more times than not, Clark Schmidt, last year. And he wasn't walking as many guys, but he was missing out over the plate. Luis Gil will walk you, but he'll also miss out over the plate when he's not on. And when he's not on, guys are looking for balls squarely over the center of the plate. I think they're just sitting on the middle, and they're going to just hack as hard as they can at balls that leak over. So yeah, I don't know, man. I hope he got that out of his system, because that's going to be a problem with good patient teams. Good patient teams against Luis Gil scare me.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying that the Pittsburgh Pirates are a good patient team either. I'm saying they were opportunistic. But when you go in and you play, a Baltimore team who can hit, and they don't need to expand the zone, Luis Gil doesn't match up all that well for a team like that, unless he's got his really good stuff and he's just naturally around the plate.
And then Schmidt on Sunday, there was a rain delay, so that could have affected him. In 4 innings, he walked 4 hitters, which was the alarming thing, because that's not something you see out of Clarke Schmidt, is 4 walks. He had 3 hits, 4 earned runs. Did either of these starts change your opinion on who starts Game 3? Or we also talked about how they might not even need 4 starters in the DS, so it could not just be who starts Game 3, it's who doesn't make a start in that series.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think you still have to go with Luis Gil as your third pitcher, just because of the upside there. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the body of work, I mean, we're doing some grades this week. When you look at the body of work for Clarke Schmidt, and he was unfortunately sidelined with injury, but when he was pitching really well. And if you could make an argument that he was the most effective pitcher on this team when he was out there. But I think at this point you have to go with Luis Gil, and having Clarke Schmidt ready to go. If you're not going to go with a 4th starter, then he's probably that first guy ready to come out if there's signs of trouble early. And it's probably they're going to wait to use him until Luis Gil is on the pitcher's mound, because I think that's the opportunity that could go bad. It could go either way. It could go dominant for 5 to 6 innings, or, you could be in trouble after the first inning, because Luis Gil could get in trouble after the first inning.
Well, we've seen Luis Gil struggle a lot of times in the first inning.
Yes. Like, you could literally have another scenario of what we saw with Luis Severino not being able to get out of, what was it, the third inning?
Wait, against Minnesota?
Yeah. Was it
first
second?
First
it was
inning.
The first?
He got 1 out in that game.
That's bad.
Or maybe 2 outs. I forget. You're talking about the wild card game.
I was drunk with a lot of people.
It was 1 out. Yeah. Still the best.
It's hard to even pay attention.
Still the most fun I've ever had at a baseball game.
I know. It's really hard to pay attention to the actual game when you're there, though.
All right. So some other news and notes. Jake Cousins threw on the 27th and 28th, and Boone said it went well. He is scheduled to toss again on September 30th, which is Monday, targeting a bullpen session on October 1st, and then he could potentially do live batting practice on October 3rd, which would be Thursday. So I guess they'll know. We think they're going to announce the roster on Friday, which is the day before the ALDS, maybe Thursday late. So it's going to be Thursday or Friday before they announce the roster. But Jake Cousins,
I think it depends on when when the Baltimore Kansas City series is wrapped. But yeah, I don't think they don't have to until Friday, right? So they'll probably wait.
Yeah. I mean, do they even have to do it on Friday? Could they do it Saturday morning?
I don't know the exact answer to that, but I would imagine that you got to do it before the day of.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't have to announce anything other than probably, I mean, obviously internally they'll know who's pitching the games, but do they even have to announce a pitcher?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think there are rules. I don't know if there are rules.
There's a roster. There's got to be a roster rule where you have to set your roster and you announce your roster.
I think Logan's Googling that, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but what is the rule for competitive balance, or is it for literally the league to just have record of things so umpires can get the information and all that kind of stuff? Might be the latter.
I think a little of both.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do have to give the information out so that people understand what's, but you don't have to, yeah, exactly. You don't set a lineup until the day of,
right?
Hours before.
You don't have to announce a pitcher. You don't have to say Cole's our
morning of game
starter.
1. Ilya put in here morning of game 1 of each round.
Okay.
So there you go. So it could be Saturday morning.
Yeah. And then you also wanted to pull some numbers on relief pitching this season. So the Yankees used 29 pitchers as relievers this year, 28 last year. So only one more this year. 25 in 2022, 23 in 2021. So a couple more than the previous seasons, 21 and 22, where their bullpen was much more stable. This year, they finished with a 3.62 bullpen ERA and a 3.96 FIP. Not too far off from last season with a 3.34 ERA and a 3.93 FIP. So the ERA is a good amount different, but the FIPs are basically the same. When you compare that all the way back to 2022, when their bullpen ERA was sub 3 at 2.97, obviously that's a huge difference. But then back in 2021, 3.56 ERA. I think there was just points in the season where it felt a lot worse.
Oh, no doubt. It didn't get supported by the names of the people that you were looking at throw the ball either. But this is, this is one of the numbers, we can talk about a little bit more too when we're given the grades for our pitchers, because I think it's relevant in understanding how many guys actually contributed to that ERA. There were a lot of guys. I was a little surprised that it was that close as far as number of people. I thought there were going to be more higher number. Because you think about it, who's in the bullpen, the first thing you think of is like a lot of dudes with like very average names as far as what their performance has been in their careers.
Well, do you know what I think a big difference this year also, though, was a lot of the guys were picked up off waivers or released and they just sort of random brought in and shipped them back out. Whereas in previous years, it was more Scranton shuttle type of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And even like the thing that we saw this year was a lot of the people that they broke camp with didn't even make it, to the trade deadline. A lot of the guys that they broke camp with are not on this team that were supposed to be pieces of the bullpen. So it just shows you look at the numbers and it doesn't look as bad, but actually when you break it down and how those numbers transpired, a lot of this goes back to assembling the bullpen and who they broke camp with, who they thought they were going to, because the rest of that shit is luck. Like the fact that any of these guys were available and then worked out, the Tim Hills of the world, is pure luck. That's exactly what that is.
But I think I got into this with someone in the YouTube comments who was criticizing us for this. This person said, like, Brian Cashman has always found these bullpen arms that you've never heard of that turn out to have good numbers. And they were saying, hey, look, he did it again. And I was like, but like the other guys that came in and then were shipped out so quickly, like, you can't ignore that happened this year too.
You also need to take the full narrative of the league. You go around the league. I promise you will find these guys on every single team. I mean, look at what Victor Gonzalez did with Pittsburgh. He was like the anchor of their bullpen in the second half. And he pitched to a 6-something ERA with the Yankees when he was here. It was so, yeah. Does that mean that Brian Cashman didn't find that guy, but the Pittsburgh GM gets the credit for finding this?
You mean Dennis Santana, right?
Who did I say? Victor Gonzalez. Yeah, Dennis Santana. I'm sorry. Victor Gonzalez disappeared completely, but Dennis Santana is the one who went to Pittsburgh and found,
because he pitched over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, so how do you represent that with grading the evaluation of a player?
He sucked for the Yankees, so I'm not going to give him a good grade because he was good with the Pirates.
My point is that when you're looking back at the assembly of said lineup and you're giving credit to Cashman finding these guys,
no, I'm not.
Does that mean that the Pittsburgh GM gets credit for finding Dennis Santana?
Yeah, whoever the Pittsburgh Pirates podcast out there doing season-ending grades, probably giving their GM a good grade for that pickup.
Right, but again, pure luck because he was released by a team. Tim Hill released by a team.
Tonkin,
Tonkin, yeah.
Oh.
They fell into your lap, and like, okay, you had no other choice, and it worked out. That's good. That's more on the coaching
worked
side.
out. I mean, worked out to a degree, I guess. But then again, you take out half of Clay Holmes' saves, and maybe the bullpen feels the numbers look probably the same, but the Yankees win the division by 6 games, and it looks a hell of a lot different.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right, so this week we're going to do pitcher grades, which will be out on Tuesday, hitter grades, which will be out on Wednesday, and then Scott will be previewing whoever the Yankees are going to be playing in the division series with a Friday episode. I'm not going to be on that Friday episode because I'm going to be out of town, but obviously...
It might be Saturday morning, depending on what the situation is with roster, who we're playing and all that stuff, but yeah.
But then the Yankees will play Saturday. They haven't announced any times yet, assuming it'll be late afternoon to evening for the Yankees. And we'll be doing a reaction episode for every game the Yankees play in the playoffs after the game. So probably, call it, we always say 15, 20 minutes, and then 50 minutes later, we're still yapping about those games. But we'll be doing an episode for every game in the playoffs. Thank you guys so much for listening all season. And hopefully you stick with us through the playoffs. And we'll talk to you in tomorrow for the grades, we're going to record these right now. So it's weird. That's why I'm stumbling with my words, because I'm about to record grades, but you won't hear it till tomorrow.